learning multiplying fractions by fractions. So one thing that I feel is very important is that we're learning things in school that we can go ahead and connect it to real life situations. So what I did is I did some baking just the other day, and I baked a tray of banana bread, okay? But I have to admit, I haven't had banana bread in such a long time that I may have gotten a little ahead of myself and eaten 2 out of the 5 pieces already. Goodness, so that leaves us with 3/5. So, I decided perhaps it would be nice if I shared it with somebody. So now I'm going to share it with one other person, so we have 2 people, right? So next, I want to take my 3/5 and split it in half. So that's really going to be 3/5 times 1/2. Go ahead and try and figure that out on your own. We're going to go ahead and talk about our answer to our real-world problem with our banana bread. So I want to know, what do you get when you have 3/5 of a tray of banana bread and you split it with one other person? I get banana bread. Okay. But what answer do you get? How much do each of us get of the original tray? Okay, so taking a look at our 3/5 that are left, I'm going to split it with one other person. So we're going to split it in half. So 3/5 times 1/2. And remember, we're going to have to think about the pieces that are missing to help us figure out the total, right? Our denominator. So let's count what we have as our numerator. If one person is getting this side and I'm getting the other side, how much do each of us get? Well, there's 1, 2, 3 pieces out of how many? You have to imagine that there would have been 4 pieces here if I didn't eat them all because I was hungry. So that would have been a total of 10. So your answer is going to be 1, 2, 3 tenths. Alright, so that's our answer. Our answer is 3/10. But what if you didn't just make a big tray of banana bread? Well, there's also, of course, our standard algorithm. So let's put it into just number form, right? And making our equation. So we started off with 3/5. Okay, so we have 3/5, and we multiplied it by 1/2. So, without a tray of banana bread, there is a way to do this. We just multiply our numerator straight across, and then our denominator straight across. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 2 is 10. So there we have it. We each get 3/10 of the banana bread. So the first step is we're going to solve, and then we're going to model them. I'm going to go ahead and take our first example about our banana bread and show you just how to do that. Okay, so you would do our standard algorithm first, which is multiplying numerators and then multiplying denominators straight across. So 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 2 is 10. We get 3/10, and that's what we got before. That's great. Now we're going to have to go ahead and model this. So what you do, you could draw a square, right? Imagine that as your tray. Try and make it as accurate as possible, of course. And we're going to start off by looking at our denominator here of fifths. We're starting off with 3/5. So our first step is going to take this square, or you can think of it as our tray of banana bread, and divide it into fifths. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, you'll have to imagine that's a little bit more accurate. Okay, so now we are going to have 3 of those fifths, so I'm going to label 3 out of those 5. These are going to be 3/5, right? Next, we're going to take that 1/2. Think about the denominator, which is 2, right? And now we have to split this picture going the opposite direction. So we started off with vertical lines to split it in fifths, and now we're going to split it the other way horizontally, and our denominator is 2, so we're going to split it in 2. So I'm going to go ahead right through the middle here, right? And now I'm going to label 1/2 of this. Okay, so here we are, that's 1/2. So you are going to go ahead to represent your answer, you're going to shade in all the pieces that represent your answer. So we have this one, and that one. So your answer would be 3 out of 10 pieces, right? And so really what they're saying is, if you started off with a tray of banana bread, so now we only have 3/5 left, right? And you split it in 2, right? You'd actually be multiplying it by 1/2. How much does each person get? Well, each person only gets 3 out of 10 pieces. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try these 3 on your own. When you're done, I want you to go ahead and press play and compare it with my answers. Okay, so here we have 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Goodness, we're going to get a lot of squares this time. So I am splitting this in 6ths. Right? And you're only going to have 4 of those, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll label that 4/6. Okay? And then we're multiplying it by 2/8. So now I gotta split this into 8ths, my goodness. So a good way to do that is to split it in half, right? So now you have 2, split it in half again. So now we have 4ths, right? And then split each of those in half again. And that'll give you 8ths. Again, try and make yours a little bit more accurate. It's a little hard for me to do with dry erase. Okay, so let me just double check to make sure I did it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wonderful. So now I'm going to label 2 out of those 8. So that's only this little piece right there. Goodness. Okay, and then you shade in all the pieces that overlap between 2/8 and 4/6. So here we have it. 8/48. If you want, you can check your work, count to make sure this is 8, count to make sure there's 48 squares. Okay, next one. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay. So split it in 4ths. There's going to be 3 of those 4ths. Split it in 4ths again, and this time it's only going to be 1 of those 4ths. Oops. Okay. And so then you shade those in. Okay, last one. 4/5 times 5/6. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 6 is 30. I feel like we're going to get a lot of squares again. Okay, so starting off, split it in 5ths. Right, and label 4 out of the 5, so label your 4/5. You would probably want yours to be spread out a little bit more so you have more room to label, right? Make it a little easier for you. Okay, so that's 4/5 here, and then we have 5/6, so now we got to split this the other way horizontally in 6ths. Okay, and we're going to have 5 out of those 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to be our 5/6 on this side. And I'm going to shade that in. Okay. Remember when you're shading to be as accurate as possible, right? We still want to see how many pieces there are total. You don't want to cover up your lines or make it so dark you can't see them. You want your shading to not run over the squares, right? Otherwise, it'll be a little confusing when someone else looks at your work. So make it as accurate as possible. So there we have it. A review of multiplying fractions by fractions.